conversation all about academic excellence. Should that be the case? What about quotas like, say, a sports quota or one for arts in our top universities?
If anyone is good at sports and along with that anyone is good at academics, it is the best, there is no doubt. But just being good at sports, it should not be the only reason. It is unfair for those, like, you know, if you have 10 seats in the college and 7 for the people who of merit and 3 for sports quota. Now, if there is someone who has scored marks but he could not get admission into his college because his seats are already filled, and someone who has scored 70% marks, he is getting admission because there is particular quota for that person. So, in what manner, how can you say that it is justified? It is completely unfair.
I think that's fair enough, because as a sports person, it's not that I'm being a sports person. I don't sit at home and just, you know, think, okay, I'll get through. But it's actually that I work day and night, and these guys get off, but we guys don't get off. And also, like, these guys, like, I would say sports, you do morning, evening, and it's more of mental and physical exercise. Where in studies, you don't have physical exercise, it's more of mental. I agree to that.
Course or college, what does one choose and why? Asta, your time starts now. You have 1 minute. You're saying course. Tell us why.
Only 3 factors had to be considered: the personality of that individual, the interest of that individual, and the ability of that individual. So when these 3 are to be considered, while considering all these facts, it's more important to focus on the course and not the college, because by the end of the day, what results is in the self-fulfillment and the achievement of that individual, which comes from the course and not from the college.
You disagree. Why is that?
The idea is simple. If you have a clarity that this is what I want to do in life, then fine, go ahead with that course. No matter where you are, you'll shine in that. But most students, when they come out of college, an average student doesn't have this clarity in mind. And when they need to choose, then they should definitely choose a college where they get that exposure, where they get exposure to an outer world, wherein they can gain knowledge in the way they want, and then they can choose a specific field in which they want to get specialized in.
Today on Crossfire, what we're discussing is the campaign a realistic goal? Can India achieve its goal of a cleaner India?
Everything was set, a 5-year plan for everything. And those plans, if not really achievable, they have sort of impacted in some way or the other the development of India.
The problem is that that's not enough to close the gap that she's talking about, right? So let's talk about the goals that are put into place, because the question here is whether or not it's realistic, whether or not it can be achieved. And to say that the awareness is there and not just the implementation is to leave aside a lot of the larger problems, because of its similar campaigns like the Bharat Nirman campaign that was done by the UPA government, which ran on similar lines, just didn't make enough of a splash because this was marketed much better, failed.
I'm sure it is, of course, very frustrating to be in this situation, you know, to sort of go to college, know your responsibilities, know what you want to do not want to do and all of that, and yet not be able to enjoy it because there's this great shadow of your safety lurking on you. How many of you believe, and you can raise your hands if you agree, that this will change in the next couple of years?
Not in the next couple of years, sorry.
I'll just share this personal experience that I had. The other day I was at the Saket metro station and none of the autowalas were willing to go. So I called up, I sort of exercised my right, I called up the police and told them that none of them are willing to go. Within 10 minutes, the police was standing at the metro station for my security, ensuring that any one of the autowalas standing there will take me to the destination, and then they called up to check on me if I had reached safe, if he charged from the meter. I was very impressed the way the whole police functioned.
It's always heartwarming to hear those stories. There might not be too many that one hears, but it's always great to hear them, so you know that they are on track.
I don't understand that why in India, or why people have that mindset that if a guy is doing fashion, the people just start judging him, like judging him really badly.
That's a very important point. That's an
really
absolutely
badly.
important
Okay, oh my God,
point.
you're doing fashion.
Yes, it did cross my mind.
Your gender
but
has a problem.
Let's get the men to answer that, actually.
I recently had this conversation with a stranger, not a friend of mine, some other person. He told me, "Yeah, Pearl to लड़कियों का college है, वहाँ क्या कर रहा है तू?" And it's just shocking how the men and women ratio is like the ratio of boys is more than the ratio of girls in Pearl.
What is the motivating factor? I mean, there's a risk factor involved. So why do you want to start up your own business?
I mean, it's a different thrill to start your own thing. What do you say? It's like if you're working in a company, it's like you're working to fulfill somebody else's dream.
I'll probably be looking for placements because I feel that a startup can probably be much more challenging as compared to just taking up a job. But a job will give you an already existing setup where you can just tweak things and eventually see impact happening at a much broader level.
The connections and the status of being IIM Bangalore. You get the access to the best faculty in the country, you have the access to the best talent, the best minds in the country, so it's a great place to start off. And it's a very, it's a nice environment, it's a safe environment, and then that really helps you take it forward, and once you go out, you can take it off from there.
I believe that MBA colleges, they teach you how to calculate the risk, how to plan the venture, but they don't teach you how to take that risk. People here are a bit like scared, okay, this is the risk that I'm going to take, or maybe I'll fail or not. So that's the thing I believe.
I'd like to say that when I passed my 10th standard and when I got good marks, luckily, I was expected to take science automatically. Like everybody is like, you got a 10 CGPA, so are you going to take science now? Or are you going to take humanities? I mean, humanities is not an option, so go for science. So that's the kind of thinking people have or had. Maybe that's changed
Then
a
how
little.
did you crack that? Then how do you sort of like
I
work on
actually did
convincing
end up taking science because I liked science, but now I'm an economics student, so you discover yourself in between. So
I believe that risk is totally inversely proportional to your happiness. The more you're satisfied with your idea, with your creative thinking, the more good outlook you have to your career path and your future and your happiness, of course.
People would think that you didn't land a job, that's why you're taking up entrepreneurship. That's the first thing everyone thinks. And the second thing is that as a person, your breakaway point to the society or to your parents, like the investment they made to you, it takes more time than actually landing a job. So if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I can't think of monetization until the first few years. So that'll be a problem. Even if for 4 months or 6 months, even though I'm working on something extremely big, which I know will be changing the world, people are not going to buy it.